بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وإمام المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وزوجاته أمهات المؤمنين وعلى من اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Inshallah ta'ala, in this short khatira, we'd like to continue this series of preparation for Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. There was so much discussed about some spiritual aspects about Ramadan. Inshallah ta'ala, also we need to cover some fiqhi elements regarding the fast. And though every Ramadan we speak about some fiqhi matters, and so many times some items are repeated, but subhanallah, surprisingly, so many people ask the same question every year, and so many people get confused in the same matters every year. And subhanallah, maybe one reason why this happened is because people don't sort of digest such a knowledge. So just they learn to act that moment, but just they don't keep this information. So this is why, inshallah ta'ala, it is always beneficial to repeat and fil i'ada ifada, inshallah ta'ala. One issue also that we would like to share with our brothers and sisters is the risk of getting answers about our religious matters from the internet, from online, from Sheikh Google. So let's be careful, and that doesn't mean you should not educate yourself, that does not mean you should not search. However, you need to verify this information. You need to verify this information, how accurate this information is, and how relevant to your case. Because sometimes you think you get the answer, but actually that's not the proper context. Right? So you misunderstood maybe. Maybe you typed the question in the wrong way. So automatically you will get an answer that is not the proper for your case. So let's be careful, inshallah ta'ala, on receiving information from not the proper sources. The fast is built on two pillars. There are two pillars of the fast. You know, Salat has pillars, right? Which means fard, elements that if you miss one of them, your Salat is invalid. Who can give us example? Some arkan of Salat, if you miss one of them, your Salat is invalid. Who can give us example? Qiyam. What else? Sujood. If you pray and you miss the sujood. If you prayed and missed the ruku'. Right? What else? Takbir. Imagine Takbirat al-Ihram particularly. The first takbira. It is a rukn. What else? Surah al-Fatiha, it is, except in the Hanafi school. In the Hanafi school is wajib, not fard. That's a different discussion. So it is still mandatory, but if you forget it, does not invalidate salat. It is enough to do sujood sahw in Hanafi school. In the rest of the madhahib, it is a pillar, which is as you stated. But there are two arkans for the fast. The first one is the niyyah, the intention. And the second one is to refrain from al-muftirat, from the things that break the fast. Essentially are food, drink, and the intercourse, the sexual relationship. So these are essentially, why we said essentially, because there are some elements that have the meaning of the food, or the meaning of the drink, or the meaning of the fulfilling your sexual desires. So it's not actually intercourse, but as if. So it does break the fast. That inshallah ta'ala we'll talk about them later on. So these are the pillars of the fast. The niyyah, the intention, and to avoid al-muftirat, to avoid what breaks the fast, essentially are food, drinks, and the al-jima', which is the intercourse or intimacy. Now, so many people, when it comes to with the first rukn and niyyah, we have two types of Muslims. We have Muslims who underestimate the importance of the niyyah, and you have Muslims who are obsessed with the issue of niyyah. Oh, did I establish the niyyah? did I think I'm going to fast today? So they are so obsessed to the extent that it will bother them, it will destroy them. And you have some Muslims who don't really give it its due importance. The niyyah, it is very simple. The niyyah is to establish the intention that tomorrow you are going to fast. So it is fard to be established every night. According to all madhahib, except in one madhab it is enough to establish it for all month. Which madhab is that? Huh? Maliki school. In Maliki school, you can establish the niyyah for entire month. So Friday, inshallah ta'ala, next Friday, said I'm fasting entire month of Ramadan. According to Maliki school, that is sufficient. But the rest of the madhahib, which is stronger, is you have to establish the niyyah every night, that tomorrow you will be fasting. It is simple. The fact that you are going to make suhoor, the fact that this is in itself a niyyah, you don't have to say it. But where we need to pay attention is in some cases. I will give you few, and then inshallah ta'ala you can do qiyas for the rest of the cases. Tomorrow I am traveling. Tomorrow I am going to Algeria, for example. It's the day of Ramadan. I'm debating, should I fast? It's going to be a long journey. I have 2 babies, so much headache. I am tired, so maybe I bring the fast, right? So I am in myself, I am debating, what should I do? Because I have the permission to break the fast. So I have a legitimate reason to break the fast. Also, I am okay to fast if I will. Now, suppose or imagine the Fajr comes and you are still in that uncertainty, undecided, that in itself nullify your fast. Whether you fast or no, your fast is not valid. Why? Because you did not establish the niyyah. Another example. Somebody is sick. Or that happens to sisters so many times, and I get these questions so many times. Sisters who are pregnant, sisters who are breastfeeding. You know, it depends. They don't have green light to break the fast, and at the same time they don't have to fast. It depends on their situation. It depends on their strength. So imagine a sister who is today, for example, she was very tired and she's thinking, should I fast tomorrow because she's pregnant or she's breastfeeding, or somebody who's sick in general. Should I fast tomorrow? And she's going to sleep and still what? Undecided. If the Fajr comes and you are still in that undecidedness, I don't know if this is a word, uncertainty, then that in itself what? Nullifies the fast. Another example, I will give you this last one. Tomorrow you are traveling and you establish the niyyah not to fast, let's say. I'm traveling tomorrow to Algeria, my flight is 1 p.m. from JFK tomorrow. I'm not going to fast. However, Islamically, you cannot break actually the fast until you leave the town. So at 10 in the morning I cannot eat drink because I'm still home. But once I leave the highway, that I am okay to drink and eat. So, but actually, technically, fiqhi, I'm not fasting, but I cannot eat, I cannot drink. Because out of respect for Ramadan, for the fast, because I'm still home. And there is a chance that the flight could be cancelled. And imagine at 10 in the morning, I received an email, your flight is cancelled. What was my intention? Not to fast. Now I'm not traveling anymore. What should I do? Some people could say, okay, I didn't eat, I didn't drink, so I am fasting. No, you are not fasting. What you need to do is to avoid eating and drinking for the remaining of the day, but you have to make up the day later on. You are not sinful because you had a plan to travel, but the flight was what? Was cancelled. So you don't have to, you should not eat, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't have intercourse, yet you need to make up the day later on. Why? Why? Because the niyyah was not established. So we have to understand that the niyyah is an important element, and it is essential in every ibadah. The niyyah what makes ibadah, and the niyyah that makes the differentiate ibadat. Now dhuhr and asr, 4 rak'ah, you read the same, you say same adhkar. What makes salat al-dhuhr dhuhr And what makes Salat al-Asr Asr? What? Intention. You are taking a shower. What makes this shower a shower that allows you to pray? And what makes a shower is just for taking a shower? What makes the difference? It's niyyah. So the niyyah is essential in every ibadah. So this is something you need to keep in mind, brothers and sisters. So we said this is the first pillar, which is the niyyah. The second pillar is to refrain or to avoid what we call them al-muftirat. Al-muftirat, things, items that breaks the fast. So if inshallah ta'ala today what we are going to do, we go over al-muftirat simply inshallah ta'ala, and next week we talk about things, there's so much misconception about them, and actually they don't break the fast, but there is misconception that they do bring the fast, but in reality they don't. So today inshallah ta'ala we talk about, in few moments, we talk about things that breaks the fast. The first thing that breaks the fast obviously is eating and drinking deliberately. And underline deliberately, because by mistake or out of forgetfulness does not break the fast. Eating, drinking deliberately. The second thing that breaks the fast is al-jima', intercourse, intimacy. Whether halal intimacy, let alone haram intimacy. The eating and drinking breaks the fast, and you need to make up the day later on. Eating, drinking, if it is with a legitimate reason, you are not sinful for sickness or traveling. So all what you need to do is make up the day later on. If you eat, drink deliberately without legitimate reason, it's a major sin, it's a musibah, it's a karitha, it's a disaster. You have to make tawbah and make up the day later on. If you have intercourse deliberately in Ramadan, then you have to make up the days later on, plus a tawbah because musibah, plus something else, we call it what? Al-kafara. What is al-kafara? To fast 60 consecutive days. 60 consecutive days. It's not worth it. Don't do it in Ramadan. So if you can't, then the next step is feed 60 needy or poor. As a matter of fact, the first step is to free a slave, but because it's not available in our time, I just skip it to the next one. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, one day an Arabi Bedouin came to him and he was putting his hand over his head. Ya Rasulullah, halakt ya Rasulullah. Halakt, which means I'm in trouble ya Rasulullah. I am in trouble ya Rasulullah. He said, what happened? He said, Ya Rasulullah, waqa'tu, jama'at. I had intimacy with my spouse. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, go and free a slave. He said, I cannot afford it, I don't have. He said, go and fast 60 consecutive days. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I couldn't control myself a day. How can I control it 60 days? And look at the honesty of Bedouins and simplicity. They don't have protocols. And this is the beauty of these people. And then the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam laughed and he said, go and feed 60 needy Muslim. He said, Ya Rasulullah, Wallahi la ajid. Wallahi, I don't have anything to offer, to give. As the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was talking to him, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was given a box of date. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam just immediately handed to the Bedouin. He said, go and feed somebody with this date. He looked at the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, Ya Rasulullah, awa ala afqara minni? Is there anybody in Medina that is more in need more than me? So I am the most needy one in the Medina. So then the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam smiled and said, go feed your family members. So we learn from this hadith that the first step is to free a slave, and the second is to fast 60 consecutive days, and the third one is what? To feed 60 individuals if you cannot do it. And by the way, if you fast 2 months, if you fast 1 month and 29 days, and then you break the fast, you have to start over. You have to start over. It has to be 60 consecutive days. If you break it any time, then you have to start over from the beginning. So don't do it. The other thing that breaks the fast is ejaculation. Bringing your desires other than intercourse, that also breaks the fast. And the ulama differed on how to make up for such a day. Is it like food or is it like intercourse and intimacy? So many ulama said as if intercourse, because you have the reason behind the jima' to be 60 consecutive days is similar to ejaculation, so it has to be made up the same way like al-jima'. So ulama differed on ejaculation, but it is something that is a major sin to be done while the person is fasting. At actually it is problematic even if you are not fasting, but it's not our topic today. The next thing that breaks the fast is the niyyah to break the fast. Is the niyyah to break the fast. Some people say, how come? I gave you example. Now you are fasting until 1 p.m. and then you get a call, I'm going to travel for emergency. And it's very long trip, it's a very hard day. So you establish the niyyah that you are going to break the fast. What? You are fasting until 1 p.m. And then you establish the niyyah to what? To break the fast for a legitimate reason. And then, guess what? The travel was cancelled. What happened now? No more fasting. You need to continue, not to eat, drink, but you have to make up the day. Though you started the day fasting, but you have broken this intention at some point during the day. So you have to make up the day later on. I give you another example that is very relevant to our cases, so many of us. So many people get confused. I will conclude with this, I promise you. Imagine, what time is Maghrib today? 7 something, right? 7:15? 13. 7:13. Imagine at 7:08, let's say today is day of Ramadan, you heard an adhan, but it's not real adhan. Like the phone, it's not like the actual time for Salah. And you went and broke the fast. Intentionally you broke the fast, right? Intentionally you broke the fast, thinking it is what? Adhan. And then you realize later on, your wife, somebody told you, no, it's not the adhan. That is just the TV, the adhan of a different city. What is the hukum of such a day? Should we treat it as if the person eat and drink by mistake, or should we treat it that you have established the niyyah to break the fast? Which cases? Eating and drinking by mistake, so you don't have to make up the day later on. What do you think? You have established the niyyah to break the fast. The difference between somebody who ate or drank by mistake, that person did not establish the niyyah. So he ate but not unknowingly, not deliberately. The person who thought the adhan and went to drink deliberately, still not accounted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doesn't have any sin. But there is a big difference between him and the one who eats and drinks out of forgetfulness. So such a person must make up the day later on. Because what? Because what? Because there is intention to break the fast. Yet it was a mistake because it was not the real time to break the fast. Does that make sense? And that happens to so many people. And they did not think that actually this day has to be made up later on. So be aware of such a case. Is it clear? Is it clear for everybody? Inshallah ta'ala we'll continue. Say it again. It requires more explanation. Say it again, brother.
He's asking, it's going to be like done that day, or you have to be carrying?
No, you have to carry on. You have to stop eating until Maghrib, at the actual time of Maghrib. Yet you have to make up the day later on. Is that clear? Inshallah ta'ala we talk about more matters inshallah ta'ala in the future. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to reach Ramadan. اللهم بلغنا رمضان اللهم بلغنا رمضان اللهم بلغنا رمضان واجعلنا فيه من الفائزين واعتق فيه رقابنا من النار وصلي اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.